Coming up, permanent housing solutions addressed during Parliament proceedings. Also, the Department of Customs coming under fire. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Roll-Farkas, and as always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping the news, a local businessman is expressing frustration at issue the enforcement of Bahamas customs regulations, which he says is burdensome and is crippling an already depressed economy. Jamila Mizik has more on this story.
2 months ago, members of the small business community staged a protest asking the government and Bahamas Customs to reconsider the enforcement of the Customs Management Act 108 A and B, which would allow couriers and freight forwarders to charge residents an additional processing fee. Well, according to businessman Darren Cooper, the act is still being enforced, and he says this has since posed a great challenge for business owners.
Couriers and freight forwarders will have to submit an entry on every customer that they bring items in for, which means you have environmental charges, you have excess tax that has to be paid, along with the along with the $10 that you would be required to pay for that entry. And so, the government said that there was no new taxes in the budget, but when you look at it, business owners and residents are being forced to pay additional taxes for bringing in goods, and 90% of us bring items from the United States for all sorts of reasons. And so even though you may be getting the duty-free exemption or the contingency order exemption, you're still paying that processing of this entry, which is one, costing you more money, and two, it's slowing down the process and the way you're able to get your goods.
Cooper says he believes that Grants Bahamas should be taken into special consideration in what many would consider a difficult time, not only recovering from Hurricane Dorian, but also being faced with the COVID-19 pandemic.
And so when you would have been able to get your goods in a day or probably 2 days, you're now taking almost 10 to 8 days just for your items to arrive at the courier's location, and then you go and pick it up, which takes probably another day. And it's slowing down the way we do business. It's an added cost to Grand Bahama. I continue to say, and I will always say, that Grand Bahama should always be considered a special case. We are an island that has been through so much and has been devastated by so many storms, and we want the government and the powers to be to understand that residents in Grand Bahama continues to go through the challenges and continue to, unemployment is at its highest, businesses are closing down, and all we're asking for is the government representatives, our MPs, those persons that sit in a position of power, first sit with us, hear the concerns, hear the frustration, and then address them.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Now, ZNS News reached out to the Customs Department for a response. We were told that Customs is looking into this concern, and they hope to have the matter properly investigated by July 1st. Then they will make an official public comment. But in the meantime, they admit that they do have a challenge, as some of the persons involved are not couriers. Well, also from the business sector tonight, there's a major violation taking place that Director of Labor says his department is taking seriously. On a recent visit to Grand Bahama, Labor Director John Pinder telling our news team that complaints coming into the department suggest that some employers are taking advantage of their employees during this time by having them work a full 40-hour-a-week shift, yet claim unemployment benefits from the National Insurance Board.
A lot of persons have been complaining to the Labor Department that the employer wishes to pay them 50% of their salary, but want them to work the whole 40 hours. That's a violation. The employer doesn't have the right to change their terms of conditions in the contract because of COVID-19. Everybody has to comply with the Prime Minister's order for COVID-19. But they cannot violate the NIB Act by trying to get their staff to receive unemployment benefit, but come to work and they pay them 50% of their salary. Unemployment benefit means you're unemployed, not your hours has been reduced.
Now, he says this issue is not just limited to Grand Bahama and warns employers that this action is against the law.
Quite a bit of complaints is coming out of Nassau also that the employer have persons working the full 40 hours and paying them 50% salary. Now, if they're doing that, they have to at some point make the rest of that. But you cannot have your staffers working for the full 8 hours for 50% of the salary. That's a violation.
Well, yesterday was a big day for the beauty industry after being shut down for weeks due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The doors are now wide open, but it will not be business as usual. Tonight, leaders in the sector say they are embracing the changes and are relieved to be back in business. Italia Hall has this report.
The beauty industry has been closed for months, leaving many within the sector without a job. Well, here on Grand Bahama, it appears as if most are now back to work, since some of the restrictions under the emergency orders were lifted by the nation's leader. Owner of LaBelle Beauty Salon, Rico Smith, says being closed for some 3 months was challenging, but after taking part in the mandatory certification courses required by the Ministry of Health, he is now open for business.
To be back, it's almost like riding a bike. You know, it's a familiar place, and we kind of always had certain measures in place, as in social distancing. We have a pretty big salon, and we have like 4 shampoo area and 8 styling chairs, and all of them are like 10 feet apart. And when you walked in, we have hand sanitizer, we have masks, obviously, and we only take in so many people, basically half an hour appointments, and that alleviate the crowd.
Over at Jador Nails, owner Monette Newbold says she is pleased to be back to work. She adds that she is following all of the safety protocols and also had a plexiglass partition installed.
I saw this idea online, and I went ahead and got in contact with someone here that does this, and then I needed it for the protection.
Owner of the Beauty Box, Jennifer Wallace, says closing her doors was tough as well. But now that she has reopened, it is a breath of fresh air.
Especially being self-employed. Like, we have no other means other than working. I mean, it was up to everybody to have their savings or whatever, but it was tough, I guess. It was more tough on the persons who wasn't up to par with saving, but it was rough.
Barbara Franklin Brooks says he is just happy to be back at work.
Great to be back to work. It was awesome, man. I feel like I was going crazy for that whole 2 months.
But Brooks says life in the barbershop will not be the same, as there are several guidelines now in place.
You have to sanitize your hands, and you got to stay 6 feet apart. You only got 3 people in there at a time. No walk-ins. We ain't taking no walk-ins. You have to make an appointment online.
Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Well, the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness and Reconstruction continuing his budget presentation in Parliament yesterday afternoon. Minister Lewis spending some time discussing the issue of housing post-Dorian. Italia Hall picks up the story.
The Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, the Honorable Iram Lewis, focusing on the domes that are being erected on the island of Abaco and in East Grand Bahama during the second part of his contribution to the budget debate. He provided some clarity on some of the issues expressed by residents, noting that a dome is not a permanent housing solution, but are meant for persons whose homes were destroyed and is a place to stay while actively repairing damaged homes. As it relates to Sweetings Key, 20 container homes are scheduled to arrive on Grand Bahama on June 26, courtesy of the MSC Foundation, and they are now trying to determine where the homes will be erected. He says following Hurricane Dorian, RVs were purchased and sent to Abaco to help get government services up and running.
The RVs were purchased for emergency purposes and are not meant as a midterm, temporary, or permanent solution, as these vehicles are not wind rated for any level of hurricane. NEMA will write officially to all government agencies. The government agencies listen out regarding a move-out date of all occupants currently residing in the RVs.
And while the Disaster Reconstruction Authority continues to address temporary housing, the authority is also looking at permanent housing solutions. Pre-qualification notices have gone out for the design build of mixed-use residential developments for disaster zones.
2 60-acre plots have been identified in Marsh Harbor and Wilson City. In East Grand Bahama, properties designated for subdivision development in Sweetingski and McLeanstown will be identified. The submission date for the pre-qualification notice is June 19, 2020. The DRA is also finalizing the land use agreement with a donor for the construction of 46 homes in Central Pine subdivision. These homes will be given to 46 families in Abaco. We expect construction to begin in August.
The minister admitting that the cleanup of various communities in Grand Bahama and Abaco are not complete. He says the DRA is currently evaluating requests for proposals to provide operations and maintenance services. The organization is actively working with government ministries to ensure that schools, hospitals, clinics, and shelters are repaired as well.
The DRA is working with the Ministries of Education and Public Works to ensure work at the Central Abaco Primary School and the Patrick J. Bettel School are completed. It is anticipated that the Central Abaco Primary School, better known as CAPS, will be completed before the start of the fall school semester. Work has begun on the school in Green Turtle Key, and it is anticipated it will be able to resume in September. The comprehensive school for East Grand Bahama is actively being developed.
As it relates to the Rand Memorial Hospital, Lewis says the Ministry of Health and the Public Hospitals Authority are committed to the redevelopment of the hospital and the construction of a new, modern, and resilient facility.
The goal is to have a new facility constructed within the next 30 months. The DRA will work with the Ministry of Health and the Public Hospitals Authority to determine how best to meet this timeline. The DRA will sign an agreement this week for a risk assessment that will inform any future decision as it relates to the development of a new facility.
It's Talia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Well, a private development in the Freeport area is concerned about the upkeep of the community commonly referred to as the Ridge. Developers admit that indiscriminate dumping in the neighborhood is out of control and must stop. Jamila Mizik reports.
President of Grand Bahamian Hills Limited, the development company for the Royal Bahamian Estates subdivision, Tiffany Dennison says, in the last 3 weeks they've caught at least 3 different violators of dumping in the area.
We have caught people from Seahorse Village coming over here to dump in this neighborhood. We've caught actual contractors who are hired and paid for dumping in the contracts, dumping here. The police have been very, very good about assisting us, and we have a neighborhood watch now. We actually have signs to go up and cameras to go up for further neighborhood watch. But the neighborhood themselves are doing very good. And then we have maintenance, a maintenance crew now run by David Knowles, who has caught several people, and in fact, been assaulted by people he stopped from dumping.
She says this indiscriminate dumping has been going on for years.
And of course, it's a very sought after neighborhood, being that the lots are bigger than any other subdivision in Grand Bahama and is on high ground. So we are trying to get everything done, but of course we can't get anything done when we have to keep paying for clearing up, paying for people to come and remove the garbage. And then, of course, you know, we have to find people that we find dumping and pursue them to actually pay.
She's encouraging both residents and others to discontinue the dumping, or she warns that they will face the consequences.
Unfortunately, there has been a couple residents we've actually found dumping in the neighborhood. So that has to stop, and I think as people become more prideful of the subdivision and how we're working on it, making it look, that will fall into place. But I think it's very important that people know this is not the subdivision to do it in. We're not tolerating it. We're not putting up with it. And we will assist the police in prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law, which is a fine and imprisonment, both or one or the other.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Hi, this is Pastor Tasman, the lead pastor here at Agape House Canada, and I just stopped by to encourage you. When I was a little boy, my dad would take my brother and I out to the beach to teach us how to swim. And one particular Saturday morning, he put us on his back and he swam out to the buoy. Leaving us there, he went back to the shore and he instructed us, now swim to Daddy. And I could remember starting to swim towards him and growing tired and then shouting out to him, Daddy, come save me. But my father, unwavering, looked at me and he said, swim to Daddy. And I remember being throwing a little tantrum and going under the water and coming back up and saying, Daddy, 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 save me. And I could hear the echo of my father as he yelled back in his adamant response, swim to Daddy. And can I tell you that some of you, it may feel as though you've been thrusted in a situation where you're growing tired and it feels as though you have but an ounce of strength or faith left. I want to encourage you to muster everything that you have, all of the energy and the faith, the little prayer that you have, and pull it together and begin to look to God our Father and to swim to Daddy. Here is what the prophet Isaiah declared. He said, for God's arm are neither short nor his ear deaf to save. And can I tell you, at that moment, I knew that on the inside of me, I could continue to exert the energy that I had to simply throw a tantrum, or I could use everything that my daddy taught me to straighten my leg, to straighten my arm, learn how to take breath, and use that energy to swim to my father. And can I tell you or leave you with this? Everything that you have on the inside of it, remember that the God that was faithful to bring you to this place is both strong and powerful, faithful to take you through it. Keep faith alive. God bless you.
Well, when we come back, it is National Report Card Week. We have the details. Stay with us.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Dolly Madison, Freeport's original home center.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3 to shop and pay online with Esquire Men's Freeport. Find us at www.esquiremen.com. Select Shop from the menu and choose the category you wish to browse. Select the items you wish to purchase, then select Add to Cart. Next, click on the cart to complete checkout. Enter your contact information, shipping address, then select Continue to Shipping Method. Choose how you want to receive your purchase from our click and collect, local delivery, or shipping options. Then finally, enter your credit or debit card details or select Cash and Go to complete your order. Your order will be confirmed and the items can be collected, delivered, or shipped. Visit us online today at www.esquiremen.com, where you can always get the best of menswear.
Hi, I'm Wes. I'd like to put some shoes on your feet.
Hi, I would like to put some shoes on your feet.
Hi, I want to put some shoes on your feet.
I want to put some shoes on your feet.
Hi, I want to put some shoes on your feet.
Let us put shoes on your feet.
Congratulations to Callista Fredelis, 2020 graduate, Bishop Michael Eldon High School. Lots of love to you. From your dad, Rena, mom, Kayla, sister DeWhitney, brother Ryan, and the rest of the family. And Callista, you graduated with distinction.
Your #1 news team covering the North. Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. It is National Report Card Week here on Grand Bahama. Parents have been able to collect report cards from the various schools. We visited the Lewis Yard Primary School today, and Principal Juanita Hanna says, like many other schools, there was a challenge connecting with some of the students during the COVID-19 pandemic. But overall, she says the students did well.
Well, the Ministry of Education decided that all students in the Commonwealth of Bahamas would be graded on what they did from January through March 13th. And so we had our records in place already, and so that was not a problem at all. Our students overall performed very well, and we are so pleased with that. And so for the most part, everything's went smoothly, and so that's not a problem at all.
Now, she says so far the turnout has been okay, but they'd like to see more parents show up for collection. And she has this bit of advice to parents.
During this time, I would recommend for parents and guardians to really assist their children during this time. We've been out of school since March, and so that's already 3 months, and we have another 3 months to go before we return again in September, God's willing. And so I would encourage them to do their best, take the time out. You know, a lot of parents are still home right now, and so they can take that time to read with their children, have them do the social activities with them as well around the house to help them. You know, some of them are missing their friends, and so play games with your kids as well. And so, you know, we want to encourage them to do the very best that they can. Be patient with your children. You know, it's not easy during this time, so patience, patience, patience.
Now, tomorrow, Wednesday, will be report card day for grades 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Thursday is for grades 5, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And Friday for grades 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Report cards will reflect grades and attendance up to March 13th. Curbside collection will take place between the hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Well, hundreds of Grand Bahamians receiving a free meal today in the downtown area. Local businessman and community activist Troy Garvey says it was a joint effort between Thick and Curvy Boutique and a few others. He says during this pandemic, they decided that it would be a good idea to give back to the community by feeding at least 500 persons.
We came together as a unit to make sure that we could feed as much people as we could today. And I think, you know, we don't want to get caught in a situation where it make it look like people have to beg for food. That's something we really don't want. But at the same token, even in a successful country, you can still give back.
Now he says the giveaway was a success and persons were grateful for the gesture.
Children came, people came, they just was grateful to get a plate of food, and, you know, it did my heart well, and I'm quite sure with Twin, and I'm quite sure with his fiancée, Lavonia, they did their heart well. Let's send a clarion message to other people. If, you know, you grab a body of people, and you don't never know whose hearts you may touch by making sure that they have a meal at the end of the day.
Finally, in news, a local church in the quaint eastern community of McLeanstown receiving some much-needed repairs post-Hurricane Dorian. Jamil Mezek reports.
Of volunteers have come to Grand Bahama to assist with reconstruction efforts here on the island after Hurricane Dorian completely devastated most parts of this island. Now here in McLeanstown at the New Emmanuel Baptist Church, they are getting a fresh start thanks to one man who says it was all the work of God. North Carolina resident Chris Ryder has been in Grand Bahama since November, 2 months after the storm. The carpenter, who is a part of the Baptist on Missions organization, was able to complete most of the roof work on the badly damaged structure in McLeanstown.
They're very heavy trusses. They're scissor trusses. They're 42 feet long, and they come in 2 pieces, and there has to be one piece put up and then another piece put up, and they come in matched pairs, and they have to be put up in order and centered. And I had help getting the first 1 or 2 up, and after that the people had to go back home, and after that I had to figure out a way to do it myself.
Ryder says he would usually install 2 trusses per day. However, some days he was only able to install 1 truss, and it's taken him 6 months to get to where he's at now.
This project started, and I'm sure the people thought there's just another project that started and it's not going to be finished. And as time went on and they saw that progress is being made, more and more people would stop by, and they would honk their horns as they went by, and they would wave at me as they saw me working up on the roof. And they would stop by and talk to me. And I have people come up from Freeport, and I say, "What you doing here?" And they say, "We came to see that crazy man from the mountains of North Carolina who does all this high work." And I would be up setting trusses and stuff, and people would come from all around just to marvel at what was being done.
Now he's hoping that persons will continue the work that he was fortunate enough to complete. But most importantly, he's glad to have met so many people, fellowship with them, and teach them about the Lord.
Over time, the hearts and the minds of McLeanstown people were won right here. And they were won by Jesus Christ, the Lord, who has brought us together to do this work. And God's love is being felt in these people's hearts because of what they're seeing right here. They've lost so much. Their lives have been changed. Their livelihood is gone. There's little hope in McLeanstown. This effort here has brought hope into the hearts of the people. And when I stop and I think about the people, that's what this is all about.
President John Roll says he saw Ryder in passing and marveled at the work he was able to do with very little help. He's thanking Ryder for all of his hard work and contribution to the McLeanstown community.
When I came inside and saw him and saw what he did, this is where my heart led me to call you just to tell him thanks publicly. There's the story about the 10 that Jesus healed and only one came back to say thank you. Well, I'm not saying one, I'm saying it for the settlement. Thank you for the work you had done. Because we may never see Mr. Chris again in this life. But hopefully we can get this here finished as quick as possible and bring Mr. Chris back here to the opening of the new sanctuary.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Awesome story, Jamila. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Show your dad some L-O-V-E love. Shop at Esquire Men's Freeport. Up to 50% off June 15th through 20th. Open until 7 p.m. all week.
Join us on Tuesday, June 16th at 8:30 p.m. right here on ZNS TV.
Hurricane Dorian.
Dangerous Hurricane Dorian.
Hurricane Dorian will be classified as a major hurricane once it makes landfall in the Bahamas, particularly here in the north. As you can see behind me, there is a body of water raging into the mainland.
This storm is not to be taken lightly.
200 miles per hour winds.
The Haitian community here.
The community that was once known as the Mud.
The place is not safe for kids and people.
We need some assistance. We need it quickly.
We don't have nothing no more.
Thousands of persons have been displaced.
This is unlike anything that I've seen before.
And everybody needs to truly be your brother's keeper.
Reporting from the island of Abaco, I'm Megan Shepard for ZNS Network News.
In Congratulations goes out to Travonia Blatch from Mary Star Catholic Academy School, coming from your mom Tizelle, all your sisters, especially Tratisa, your brother, all your family and friends, wishing you all the best and all the love on all your future endeavors. Your #1 news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
And a special hello to Danielle Thompson, our Facebook friend of the night. And of course, we want to say a special happy birthday to Jane Lord, Carolyn Thompson, and one of our most miserable co-workers here at ZNS North, Warren Saunders. We hope that all of you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. And that is going to do it for us here in the North. On behalf of our entire ZNS News team, I'm Shashina Wolf-Farquharson. The Bahamas Tonight continues.